Every morning, before you even speak to another human being, you reach for one object, your smartphone. It wakes you up. It tells you the weather. It remembers your appointments. It guides you through traffic. It entertains you when you're bored. It feels like the most helpful invention ever created. But here's a question almost nobody asks. What does your smartphone know about you? The answer is far more unsettling than most people realize. Not because your phone is secretly listening to every conversation, but because it often doesn't need to. Every tap, every search, every location, every app you open, every photo you take, together, they create something incredibly valuable, a digital version of you, one that companies use to understand your habits, predict your behavior, and decide what appears on your screen every single day. The strange part, most of this happens with your permission, without you even noticing. Today, we're going to explore the hidden world inside your smartphone, how it collects information, why companies want that information, which privacy myths are actually false, and how a device that fits inside your pocket became one of the most powerful data collection tools ever created. Let's begin. Your phone starts learning immediately. Imagine buying a brand new smartphone, fresh out of the box, nothing installed, no photos, no contacts, no messages. At first glance, it feels completely empty. But the moment you connect it to the internet, everything changes. The first thing you usually do is sign in with an account. That single step unlocks email, cloud storage, app downloads, backups, maps, calendars, and much more. It's incredibly convenient. But it also becomes the foundation of your digital identity. From that point forward, your phone begins recording patterns, not because someone is sitting behind a screen watching you. Instead, automated systems analyze billions of tiny events every day. How often do you unlock your phone? What time do you wake up? How late do you stay awake? Which apps do you open first? How long do you spend scrolling? Which videos do you watch until the end? What topics do you search for most often? Each action seems insignificant on its own, but together, they paint a surprisingly detailed picture of who you are. And here's what makes modern technology so fascinating. Your phone doesn't need to understand your thoughts. It only needs enough information to recognize patterns, because human behavior is often far more predictable than we like to believe. The invisible trail you leave behind. Think about the last time you left your house. Maybe you went to work. Maybe you visited a coffee shop. Maybe you stopped at a grocery store before heading home. To you, it was just another ordinary day. But to your smartphone, it was a collection of thousands of tiny data points. Every time your phone connects to GPS satellites, nearby Wi-Fi networks, or mobile towers, it can estimate where you are. Many apps request location access because they genuinely need it, like navigation or weather apps. Others may use location information to improve services, personalize content, or measure how people move through places, depending on the permissions you grant and their privacy policies. This isn't necessarily something to fear. In many cases, it's what makes modern smartphones incredibly useful. Without location services, ride-sharing apps couldn't find you. Maps couldn't guide you. Weather forecasts wouldn't know your local conditions. Emergency services could have a harder time locating someone who needs help. Location data has real benefits. The important question isn't whether location data exists, it's who has access to it, and for what purpose. Why free apps aren't really free. Have you ever downloaded an app without paying a single dollar? Of course you have. Millions of apps are completely free, but developing software isn't free. Servers cost money, engineers need salaries, customer support isn't free. So how do many free apps stay in business? Often through advertising. Advertisers aren't just interested in showing random ads. They want to show the right ad to the right person at the right time. Imagine two people opening the same app. One loves hiking, the other enjoys gaming. Showing both of them the exact same advertisement isn't very effective. Instead, advertising systems try to understand people's interests based on signals like the content they engage with, the apps they use, or general browsing behavior, within the limits of the permissions and privacy settings involved. The goal is simple. More relevant ads are more likely to be clicked, and more clicks usually mean more revenue. Is your phone listening to your conversations? This is probably one of the biggest technology myths on the internet. Almost everyone has experienced something strange. You mention a product during a conversation, then later, an advertisement for that exact product appears on your phone. It feels impossible. It feels like your phone must have been listening. But the reality is usually much less dramatic. Modern recommendation systems are already extremely good at predicting what people might be interested in. Think about everything they already know: the videos you watch, the websites you visit, the products you've searched for, the stores you've visited, the people you follow, the topics you spend time reading. When you combine thousands of these signals together, algorithms can make surprisingly accurate predictions. Sometimes those predictions feel almost magical. There have also been cases where apps improperly collected data or violated platform rules, and both mobile operating system providers and regulators have taken action against apps that break those rules. For everyday users, though, there's no strong evidence that mainstream smartphones are constantly recording every private conversation to target ads. The truth is both less dramatic and, in some ways, even more impressive. Technology doesn't always need to hear what you say. Sometimes it can make educated guesses based on what you consistently do. Building your digital profile. Imagine meeting someone for the first time. After a 5-minute conversation, they might know your name, maybe your job, maybe where you're from. Now imagine someone observing small parts of your daily routine for months. Not your private thoughts, just your habits. What time you wake up, what videos you watch, how long you read an article, what you ignore, what you click, what you buy. Slowly, those tiny pieces begin to fit together like a puzzle. This is often called a digital profile. It's not a perfect copy of who you are, but it can become surprisingly detailed. Algorithms don't think like humans. They don't understand emotions the way we do. Instead, they look for patterns. If millions of people who enjoy one topic also tend to enjoy another, the system notices. If people who buy running shoes often search for fitness watches a week later, the system notices. If viewers who watch one video usually stay engaged with another, the system notices that too. Every action becomes another clue. Not because someone is personally watching you, but because computers are incredibly good at finding patterns in enormous amounts of data. Why you keep scrolling. Have you ever opened a social media app just to check one notification, and somehow 30 minutes disappeared? You're not alone. Most modern platforms are designed to keep your attention for as long as possible, not because they're evil, but because attention is valuable. The longer people stay, the more opportunities there are to show advertisements, recommend content, or encourage subscriptions. Every second matters. That's why recommendation systems constantly learn from your behavior. Did you watch that video until the end? Did you skip it after 3 seconds? Did you replay a certain part? Did you leave a comment? Every interaction teaches the system something. Over time, your feed becomes more personalized. Sometimes that's helpful. You discover music you'll love. You find creators who match your interests. You learn new skills. But personalization has another side. If an algorithm mostly shows you content similar to what you've already watched, you may see fewer different perspectives. Experts sometimes refer to this as a filter bubble or an echo chamber. It's one reason why exploring different sources of information is still important. Algorithms can recommend, but they shouldn't become the only lens through which we see the world. Can you take back control? Here's the good news. You don't have to give up your smartphone to protect your privacy. Small choices can make a meaningful difference. Review your app permissions every few months. Ask yourself a simple question. Does this app really need access to my location, my microphone, or my contacts? If the answer is no, turn that permission off. Delete apps you no longer use. Keep your phone updated. Software updates often include important security fixes, not just new features. Use strong, unique passwords. Even better, enable two-factor authentication whenever possible. And before accepting every permission request, pause for just a second. Convenience is valuable, but understanding what you're agreeing to is valuable too. Technology works best when users stay informed, because privacy isn't about having something to hide. It's about having the freedom to choose what you share.
The next generation of smartphones. Take a moment. Look at the phone in your hand, a device small enough to fit inside your pocket, yet powerful enough to access nearly all of humanity's knowledge. 20 years ago, something like this would have sounded like science fiction. Today, it's completely normal. But smartphones aren't standing still. They're becoming smarter every year. Artificial intelligence can now summarize your messages, translate conversations in real time, remove unwanted objects from photos, predict what you want to type next, and even help you organize your day before you ask. The line between a smartphone and a personal assistant is becoming thinner. The more helpful these systems become, the more responsibility comes with designing and using them wisely. Technology itself isn't good or bad. It's a tool. The real question is how we choose to use it. It's not about fear. When people hear conversations about privacy, they often ask the same question. Why should I care? I have nothing to hide. But privacy isn't only about hiding secrets. Think about the curtains in your home. Most people close them at night, not because they're doing anything wrong, but because everyone deserves a personal space. Privacy works the same way. It's about having control. Control over who sees your information. Control over who can access your data. Control over how your digital life is understood. Every time you decide which permissions to allow, every time you create a stronger password, every time you think before clicking accept. You're making a choice about that control, not out of fear, but out of awareness. Your smartphone is one of the greatest inventions of the modern world. It helps us learn, create, navigate, communicate, capture memories, and stay connected with people across the globe. But every powerful tool comes with responsibility. The more we understand the technology we use, the better decisions we can make. Because the biggest threat isn't technology itself. It's using powerful technology without understanding how it works. The next time you unlock your phone, ask yourself one simple question. Am I controlling this device? Or is it quietly shaping the way I live? The answer may not be as simple as you think. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, consider subscribing for more calm, thought-provoking technology documentaries. Every week, we'll explore the hidden stories behind the technology we use every day. One idea at a time. Until next time, stay curious.